RGA ATL for life. That's the plug. Edward Mitchell, what's up, my guy? Fogo the Great, Trey Murphy, Wally Smith, Super Cancer 85, what's good? 95 North Falcons Talk Show. Y'all go check him out on YouTube. My boy Alberto, we call him Berto for short. We got to give him a nickname though. I don't want to call him Pumpkin Pie Eater, but I might have to do that if I can't find a nickname. Shaka Zulu, what's up, man? Stay safe out there on that road. Travis Preston, what's good, my dude? Thank you for always supporting. But let's get this thing rolling, man. I'm gonna let you start it off. Your thoughts, right quick, to get this thing started on why you think Michael Vick. Well, let's go back. Let's go back to 2001 when we drafted him. Mm-hmm. Give us your feeling when you said you seen an African American quarterback that looked like me, fast, track star, superstar type player. What were your thoughts when you see the Falcons move up the board to go get him?
I was very excited. When they moved up, they traded up to go get Mike Vick. By my own admission, I was familiar with him in college, but I didn't know a whole lot on him because I'm an SEC guy, and at the time I think Virginia Tech wasn't even in the ACC at the time yet. Was it the Big 10?
Still in the Big 10.
Big 10. Yeah, Big 10. So I didn't catch a whole lot of Vick games until the later part of his college career. Then of course, I seen the championship game against Florida State. I always hate to say how somebody almost beat a team by themselves, but he really was right. He almost single-handedly, put them over the top, beat Florida State. Florida State eventually prevailed in the second half. But when we moved up to draft him, I was very, very, very excited. Very excited to see what this exceptional, freakish athlete could do for the Falcons. So I was very excited. Could not wait to see him on the field. Of course, he did not start day one. They slow rolled him a little bit, but I was very excited. I thought it was a very smart move. We had a brand new owner also at the time, so it was kind of like the Falcons were rebranding themselves at that point in time. New era, new quarterback, new owner, new GM. So we was really going in a brand new direction. And you just had this super electric quarterback like we've never seen before. I mean, of course, the older school guys say, well, you had Randall Cunningham. True indeed. But I think Vick was still a little bit different than Randall was. Similar playing style, but Vick was just something that nobody had seen before. So, again, I was excited. I was definitely looking forward to it, man. And first thing I did is try to get me some Falcons tickets.
And I'm gonna tell you, man, I'll be honest, man. When he got drafted, 2 months later, I bought their jersey and kept it for about 8 years because the number wore off of it. But I agree with what you said, man. But we've seen players like this, and they don't make it because their skill set is not warranted at the highest level. But now it's commonplace. So if Vick played in this era, man, you talk about $200-300 million quarterback, he would be one of those guys. But I remember it like it was yesterday, and I was surprised that they did it in a way. But in a predominantly black city, black fan base, I think it was the right move. And like you said, rebranding Arthur Smith. And that's one thing, Arthur Blank. One thing he's done with this organization, I don't care who he had in the front office, he's always promoted this team. He's always advertised this team to the highest. And we haven't seen anything like that from our owners. You remember the Smith family, the only time they marketed this team, 1991. Other than that, not other time.
Right.
So that was a time, and I think that time is kind of rolling around again. And this is why I think Bijan Robinson picking number 7 was the right move. He's going to be that type of exciting player. I'm not saying he's Michael Vick, because Michael Vick is a playground legend and he's an NFL legend. So when I look at it, man, 2001 was the turning point for this franchise, and that's why some of these fans are spoiled. But it's just lovely, man. But let's look at that first contract, man. We talk about 2001, 6 years, $62 million. you had starting quarterbacks in the NFL that wasn't making that kind of money. Um, then you go to the second contract after he's put on, put the team on his back, show that he can carry a team. Second contract, 10 years, $138 million, highest paid quarterback at the time. And I'm gonna tell y'all, and y'all might not believe it, if he does not get in trouble with dog fighting, man, Michael Vick would have probably been the biggest icon this sport has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about an experience like that, contracts, money, endorsements, how do you think that played a part in how the public viewed him?
I think it was twofold. I think, of course, that brought a lot of fans and notoriety to Vic, to the Falcons, and I also think there was a segment of fans or people who felt like he was being given too much too fast, and he has yet to earn that acclaim that he's been given. So, as is commonplace within our fan base, I just think you had two segments of people sitting on opposite side of the fence arguing
Right.
at each other on who was right. And we see that
Yeah.
pretty often as Falcons fans.
Agreed. And to look at that contract, man, 138 million. That's what the highest paid did. So right now, if you triple that, it would be somewhere a little bit over $300 million for 10 years, which is about well, it may be closer to 400
Yeah.
because you talk about it, 35 a year is the average. Man, it would be crazy. But we always talk about why he should be, why he shouldn't be. First, we're gonna start out with why he should be, but first, we're gonna look at his stats, man. You talk about a guy 6 seasons in Atlanta, 38-28 record with one tie. We remember that Pittsburgh Steelers game.
Mhm.
11,505 yards passing, which is not much. 71 touchdowns, 52 interceptions, 75.7 QB rating. Rushing is where I think pulls this together.
Mhm.
529 carries, 3,859 yards, which is seventh all time in Falcons history, and he's the quarterback. 21 rushing touchdowns and 7.1 average, which could probably, if he had by probably about 200 more carries, probably be the most all time.
Right.
So as I look at those stats, um, to me, it doesn't tell the whole story. So I'm looking at winning record, what he did on the field, how dynamic he was, what he brought to the city, impact, and all that good stuff. That is why I think he should be in the Ring of Honor because the impact he had on the city, on the NFL as a player, and if you want to tie in his Philadelphia stats, you could do that as well. So, but as a Falcon, I still think what he brought, the dynamic that he brought to this team is probably the reason why I would put him in the Ring of Honor. And his numbers, they're not gaudy, but they're respectable because of our organization. And we
Right.
haven't, had superstar players put up a lot of numbers. So that is why I think he should be in.
Yep. And I definitely agree. And to compound on what you said about the impact, man, the impact with with Michael Vick can't be understated, man, because he came here and he just made the Falcons much must see football, and I mean every game when he played must see football. We saw
Right.
a little bit of that. You mentioned the '91 team a moment ago. We saw a good bit of that in '91 for 1 year. People want to check in the Dion and MC Hammer on the side. Hey, what the Falcons doing? But when Vic was here, you saw that every single game. That's we. I can remember even going back to '98 Super Bowl year. We
Right.
didn't lead ESPN on Monday morning. We were the first game that they talk about Monday morning. But
Nope.
when Vic was here, you saw that a lot. You saw people tuned in, and I remember vividly, like people who were not even Falcons fans, people who didn't even like the Falcons. You know
Right.
what? They bought Mike Vick jerseys. He set that kind of precedent with people that I'm gonna buy a Vick jersey. I don't like the Falcons. I can't stand y'all, but I mess with Vick. and he just had the entire world tuned in. You know, cover Madden, own
Yep.
signature shoe, and still what 67 years in, I think. How old the Falcons? 67 years or 57? 57, I
Uh,
think.
six,
57 years old.
57. Right.
57. So 57 years in, and still the only players who ever lead the league in jersey sales that played for Atlanta. Um, Michael Vick packed that dome. People came to see Vick, and you just had to really be into it to really understand it. How that Michael Vick experience was like no other. He brought a whole. Now the Falcons were already on the map, but he took the brand and he just made it more internationally known. You know, he
Right.
took us to realms that we weren't even in yet. You know, and he brought a he. You can say he, and a lot of these new quarterbacks will tell you like, "Hey man, I grew up watching Vick. You know, I was inspired by Michael Vick to play." A lot of these young guys will tell you that now. So the impact he had on Atlanta, the impact he had on the franchise, to me, that's one of the main reasons you got to put him in. And I'm not focusing on impact to say that he wasn't a good player, because he was a pretty good player with the Falcons. I think if the dog fighting stuff don't happen, he could have eventually molded himself into a great player. You know, if he just would have focused, that would have been a big part of it. But he knew how to win. Smitty,
Yeah.
Vic knew how to win. You
Right.
know, he went here long enough where they could build a team, the ideal team around him. Because I think once he got here, the Falcons didn't even know, okay, how we gonna do this thing, you know. So he went long enough for that, but he just knew how to win. A lot of people, and I'm not trying to slight Matt Ryan or anything, because make no mistake about it, Matt Ryan is the greatest Falcons quarterback in history, including
Easily.
Michael
It
Vick.
ain't. It ain't even no contest.
Right. There's no debate, including Michael Vick. But when I say Vick knows how to win, when you look at it from a proficiency standpoint, Vick is the most proficient winner in terms of starting NFL quarterbacks for Atlanta, including Matt Ryan. Michael
Yeah.
Vick won 57% of his games. Matt Ryan won about 53% of his games. You know, so, and he was 500 in the playoffs. You know, I know for most franchises they be like,
Yeah.
they know all that, but for the Falcons, like, hey, you
And
500 in the playoffs.
speaking of playoffs, I think that Green Bay game was put him on the map. You
Yes.
go to, I think it was Lambeau Field, Packers' very first loss in the postseason at home, and it was like 25 degrees that night,
Mm-hmm.
and the Falcons just ran them in the ground. And as you said, they did not have superstar players around him, but
Right.
what they did have was a head coach that know how to run the football, which is sort of like what's going on now. That
Yep.
knew how to run the football with Warwick Dunn, TJ Duckett. Was Duckett here at that point? No, I think he had about 2 more years before he got here. But Warwick Dunn, Michael Vick, I think Tony Martin was a receiver here then. Sean Jefferson, some guy named Taylor Gabriel. No, I'm sorry, Roman Gabriel, something like that. But he did not have a lot of superstar talent around him. He did not
Right.
get a receiver to Roddy White guy, and that was his last season here.
Right.
So to see him still put up numbers with not top flight talent, that was even more impressive. You saw that run against Minnesota,
Oh,
149 yards that game running. So
yeah.
to be that dynamic with not a lot of talent on offense, I'm sorry, don't forget about Brian Finneran.
Yeah.
Uh, but
He was solid.
but you know, and I'm gonna get Keenan Ford, and we're gonna talk about that, man. But Michael Vick, I think, impact alone, man, of what he did without the help, and we don't talk enough about community. What he did for the community, he
Right.
did a lot for the community, Boys and Girls Club. Um, uh, there's another that's on top of my head, but y'all know where I'm going with that. But it's just so much that he meant to the city, as a superstar player, and to me, an icon type player. It's just
Yep.
that he got caught up in the mix, had a lot of money, couldn't tell him that any young person like we see right now with some of these guys. It was just hard to collar that. And he just got caught up in the mix. He changed his life, but hey, damage had been done.
Yep. Damage was done.
Damage was done.
Yeah. And then the city of Atlanta just embraced him so much, man. It was like this is our guy, this is our son. And I haven't really seen an athlete still what Vick been going almost 20 years now, about 17 years. So almost 20 years later, Julio, Matt, Trey Young, um, you could argue Acuna is getting up there, but
Ronald Acuna is there. He's almost
yeah,
he's there
he
because
getting there.
let's be real. His second year in the league, he almost won MVP. So
Right.
he's there. So
Yeah.
all he has to do is not get hurt, stay consistent. He's probably going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame at the end.
Right.
Go,
And what
go
I'm
ahead.
saying, Acuna is there, Smitty. That just really gives more credit to Vic. And the reason I say that because a guy like Trey Young, he's gonna play 2-3 games a week, maybe 4 sometimes.
Yep.
Acuna, you're gonna see him 5-6 times a week. You're only gonna see Mike 1 time a week.
Yep.
Though the other sports, they're in your face almost daily. So for a football player to come in and just do what he did on a notoriously terrible organization,
Yeah.
it speaks volumes. The Braves ain't won some World Series. Hawks hadn't done anything yet, but it really speaks volumes, man. So that's a big part of the reason I think you got to put the guy in there. Now I don't think he gets the Roddy White treatment. When Roddy
No.
retired, he went right in.
Right.
So they did good to make him wait. But I think this year, next year at the latest, it's about time to go ahead and put him in because I feel like Blank wanted to get him in there, and I think Blank wants to be the owner there to put the jacket on him at the time. And we know Arthur ain't getting no younger, so
80 years old. So no, he's not getting younger. But we have our first question from Lisa Shepard. Lisa said, "Why do you think he has been put in the ring on already? Do you think Blank doesn't want the flock from those that still oppose him?" That's a very, very, very good point, Lisa. I'll let you start that one off, man.
what's up, Lisa? Um, I kind of was just hitting on in a moment there because of the dog fighting thing. I think the right thing to do is make him wait out a little bit because of that. So I think that's probably why he hadn't got in there just yet. I feel strongly he will get in there, but I think they wanted him to wait it out because you got guys like Roddy. Okay, you're gonna go in as soon as you retire. Julio Jones, even with the little friction at the end, you're gonna go in right after you retire. Matt Ryan, you're gonna go in right after you retire. And everybody else, based on what you did, we'll put you in as we feel the time is right. So I think they're just making them wait out a little bit just because of that dog fight stuff.
And we talk about numbers, and players getting into the Ring of Honor. I think this thing is going to explode in the next 10 years. The reason why I say you talk about guys like Mike Vick, who we talk about with numbers and impact. You can say the same thing with Andre Riser. You can say the same thing with Terrence Mathis.
Yes.
They put Warwick Dunn in already. So as I look at it, man, John Abraham, as somebody brought up in the comments, and that's my dude right there. John Abraham is the top sack leader in Atlanta Falcons history outside of Claude Humphrey because they were not recording sacks. But I still think John Abraham should have been in years ago.
I agree.
He's not been in Atlanta in over 10 years, so he should have been in. But
I agree.
you got to stop holding gripe against these players. Everybody has issues. Nobody's perfect. So when you look at it, don't get me wrong. I understand character issues, and they're bringing it into this new regime that they have right now as to having good character, aggressiveness, and all that good stuff. But sometimes, man, you need those players that kind of get in trouble, that kind of loose cannon. They're going to go all out every Sunday, give you their best, and you won't have no problem about it. But I agree. I think it's the dog fighting thing and the character issues. But at the end of the day, I think they mended their fence. So if they're going to put him in, I think it should be probably in the next 2 to 3 years because you've already put Roddy White in. And don't get me wrong, Roddy is probably top 5 when you talk about all-time Falcons as well. He could be. But I think Yeah, character issues is probably why he had been put in. So, Lisa, that would be our answer. Let's see what we got. What we got. Travis Preston said, from a cultural impact that he had on the team, the city, and the league, I have no problem with Vic going in the ring on after his troubles. He made a big turnaround in his life in those 2 years of prison time. He talks about it all the time, how they changed his life. And he had to fight for his life in prison, believe it or not. He was in general population with killers, thugs, everything you could think of. So don't think he went to some soft prison. He was in maximum security prison for dogs, which is pretty stupid.
Yep.
But that's just the way things go, man. That's just the way things go.
And
The
like Travis,
Falcons, our boy Vinny, man, he said let John Abraham in there. Definitely agree with that. Go ahead.
immediately.
Go ahead.
Immediately. No, I was going to agree with him. I agree. John and you said it a moment ago also, Abraham, he should have been in there. I don't that's pretty questionable to me why he isn't in there yet. I mean, Abe was a
Hey,
dog for the Falcons, man.
I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna try my best to get Abe back on the show soon so we can talk about it.
Yeah,
If I can
that's
get
something we
Abe on,
want to talk about.
we're gonna talk about that one because I talked about it. Y'all go check it out on the channel. I asked him about the Hall of Fame, and he just outright said, "The reason why I'm not in the Hall of Fame, I'm not the media's cup of tea. I'm not the guy that they promoted. I'm not the guy that gave them all the hype. I was kind of like the bad guy." But y'all can go check that out on my channel. Just type John Abraham in the search, it'll pop right up. And funny thing about that interview, I just waking up, saw him on Facebook, shot him a text, said, "Come on, let's do it right quick." Man, eating breakfast. Said, "I got you." So yeah, y'all go check that out, man. We had a great time, quick interview. But yeah, he was honest about it. And the reason why, another thing with character issues, nobody talks about it, but uh he still went to Arizona very next season. I think it was the next season or the season after he had double digit sacks.
Yeah, it was the next season because he had that chip on his shoulder.
Right, right. So you think about it, man. And I saw his contract. He put it on Facebook. Wasn't much, and they still cut it. So yeah, John got to get in, man. Georgia Red Clay said in 13 seasons, his average per season 17, 28, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Cost the first and the third and the future second for what? So I'm taking it that Georgia Red Clay don't think it was a great move to trade for Michael Vick.
I
What do
I
you think?
I disagree. I mean, hindsight is 2020. You can look at what happened with the dog fight and now and say, well, terrible idea. But that aside, it was the right thing to trade for Michael Vick at that point in time. As I repeat, brand new owner and buying a team that lovable losers ain't won that, can't won that, still in that
Yeah,
same boat. And again, you're trying to rebrand this team. And you mentioned this also, the the number one city in America with probably the highest black population, So as much as anything for Arthur Blank, it was, hey, this is an incredible athlete and also a smart business move for me,
yeah,
So, and again, nobody saw the dog fighting stuff was going to happen, but that aside, it was a good move for the Falcons. It's not like Vic didn't come here and we didn't start getting into the playoffs. We didn't start winning. We didn't start filling that dome up, and you start doing that enough, the wins will continue to come. So
right.
I think it was a smart move to do it. And if we had to do it again, I would do it again, minus the dog fight.
And not only that, man, as I looked at it, man, he sold out games on the road too. Not only
Yeah,
at home. You talk about a team that couldn't sell out games to save their life, like the Raiders. He sold that game out. He played 2 games in Miami, sold both of those out. So you talk about a guy that could sell out a seat anywhere in the USA. That says a lot.
right.
The
And
young
and,
guy.
and like
Go
you
ahead.
said before, Smitty, like when whoever that was, and they posted the stats. Hey, I know the stats don't just catch your eye, but post the wins and look at winning percentage for Vick compared to the other Falcons quarterback. And I'm not trying to pit Michael Vick against Chris Chandler or nobody, but I'm just saying when you're such a bad franchise, bad might be being nice when I'm talking about the Falcons, but when you're such a
Right.
bad franchise, you're trying to find that fire to get your franchise going. So it was the right move to get Vick, and we did start winning some games with Vick. We started to get a little respect. It's just
Mhm.
unfortunate the way things ended with Michael Vick, and nobody foresaw that.
Yeah, nobody was going to see that, man. Now he got in trouble at the airport. We know about that. That was
Yeah,
terrifying. But
I forgot about that
this,
Gatorade bottle.
but no, it was actually a water bottle with your
Oh,
twist.
water bottle.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I mean, hey, we not perfect, man. And as I said, man, impact alone, man. Michael Vick experience, like I said, community work, things of that nature. It goes way beyond football.
Right.
So, in a predominantly black city, helping market the team, selling out stadiums, all that go hand in hand
Right.
with impact. Let's see. D'Angelo Hall, Matty Trainer said D'Angelo Hall deserved to be in that well. That's kind of questionable, to be honest. And I'm gonna be honest. If I'm gonna put D'Angelo Hall in, he was a dynamic player. I'm not gonna lie. But I would put Brett Grimes in before him
Yeah.
because I
Oh,
feel
Brett.
Brent Grimes had a bigger impact than D'Angelo Hall. See, with D'Angelo Hall, it was all about money. With Brent Grimes, he took what he had as being an undrafted free agent, hit the field, played well every Sunday. He was only 5'8". So
Mm.
just think about that.
Yeah, and I wish we could have kept Brent Grimes too. I hated to see him go.
330. This is a great point. Abraham was a performer. He didn't fit the criteria of that side of the NFL. And he said it himself. He wasn't a guy that the media was going to pump up, but he did his job. So he still got to get in. And we need to start a petition of the fan base to get him in. Because, I mean, he was just one of the most dynamic pass rushers we ever had. Outside
Yeah.
of Clyde Humphrey, Chuck Smith, guys of that nature.
Hmm.
What's up, John Higgins? Thank y'all for tuning in. Anthony Booker says, shoot, man, Michael Vick was the most electric move in Falcons history. No doubt about that one. Supercatcher 85 said, would Vick have matured on his own had he not got in trouble? That's a great question. He had more than enough talent, but his knowledge of the playbook while the Falcons held him back from his true potential. I'll let you take that one.
Would he have matured if he not gotten in trouble on his own? I would like to think age naturally he would have matured, because we got to also keep in mind when this was going on, he was 22, 23 years old, and I'm not making no excuses for him because you got other players in the league that are the same age, and they're all making millions of dollars at the end of the day. So
Right.
you like to think that he would have matured with age, with time, um, and also as we know, Atlanta, man, that's a that's a I'm trying to think of the right thing to say. The city of Atlanta for a young black rich man who got the
Oh,
the
man.
city in the palm of his hands, man, you're gonna have a lot of temptation there. Um
Yeah, that's
so
right. Because Pope people get temptation now. So,
right. Right, exactly. So it's hard to say, but I think with time he would have. I will say this. I think one of Arthur Blank's biggest mistakes was probably listening to us fans and the media and firing Dan Reeves. I think Dan Reeves was the head coach that actually didn't let Vic run over him. When
right.
they brought Jim Mora Jr. in here, that was just like a
And Mike Vick was doing his thing, man. He wasn't
yeah.
he wasn't
Did what
looking
he
at the
wanted
play.
to.
He wouldn't even look at his wrist.
Right, right. And Dan Reeves would hold him accountable. So, for lack of better words, I think Blank pulled the trigger a little too fast by letting Dan Reeves go.
And you know what, too? As I thought about it, most of his success in Philadelphia was due to Andy Reid because
Right.
his ways of knowing how to develop a quarterback. So the only way he would have improved as a passer to me is they had got someone in there that was a quarterback guru that could develop quarterbacks. And that's what I say about Andy Reid. every quarterback he's had has been top notch. You talk about Donovan McNabb in Philly, Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, and I think he even had Trent Green. And was it Trent Green? No, that was earlier. But who was there before Patrick Mahomes? Alex Smith. He had
Yeah.
Alex Smith as well. So you talk about a guy that could develop quarterbacks. Michael Vick fell into the perfect situation in Philadelphia because that was the only team that was going to give him a shot.
Yep. And he went to
What,
that was the right team for him at the time.
right? Because you got guys on the team like Vince Young who was trying to get a second shot as well. McNabb was still there. Brian Westbrook. So he had the weapons around him. Jason Peters, I think, was still there. So and they had a team too.
They had a strong locker room.
Right. Veteran presence. So and just imagine, I tell people this all the time. Imagine if Michael Vick had that 98 team behind him. You had Pro Bowl wide receivers like Tony Martin, Terrence Mathis, Jamal Anderson, great offensive line. See, if he had a team like that, Atlanta probably would have won 2 to 3 championships while he was here. Because who's gonna stop that run game? If you can't stop the run game, how you gonna stop Michael Vick? Because that play action, that rollout, all that gonna kill you.
Yeah. and you got good receivers too for him.
Right. So 95 North Falcons talk show, as I said, man, y'all please go check out my boy Alberto. Help him get to them 1,000 subscriptions, man. He's at about 750 almost, so he has about 250 left. What are y'all thoughts on Patrick Kern? Does he deserve to get in? Oof. Man, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that is a tough one. That's a real tough one there.
You know what?
Then, like, if you let Kearney in, then you got to open the door and say, well, Chuck Smith should get in, you know? And then at that point, like, I know the Falcons don't want to, no disrespect,
oversaturate
players, right? You don't want to dilute it, you know?
Right.
So,
but we talking about Mike Vick, Terrence Mathis at the time, one of the leading receivers. You got Dion, who's on his 6th season. He's in. So that is, Dion is another type talent. And like I said, impact is what he brought. And that's the case I'm making for Mike Vick. Same impact as Dion made. But Patrick Kearney, I would have to say no. Only because I think he had more talent around him. But when you look at John Abraham was the pass rush. I think one season he had Rod Coleman, or 2 seasons he had Rod Coleman, Grady Jackson, big guy. But who else did he have? Brady Smith. He had him for a little while. Now he had a couple of free agents, but they did not make a major impact at the money that we were paying, because we paid Brady Smith a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he was hurt most of the time he was here. So Kearney, I would have to say no. Alex Mack came and solidified the O-line. Agreed, kinfolk.
Yep. Get us into the Super Bowl.
Okay, we got about we'll go about 15 more minutes. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop a link, and I'm gonna let y'all come in and give y'all thoughts right quick. Shout out to my boy Maybach Sports. Salute to you, my brother. New England Patriots fan always shows me love, man. I love getting support from other teams, man, because I also do videos on other teams. So thank you for supporting. After his troubles, he made a turnaround in his life. After I think I read that one. Oh, no, I didn't. Since he became an upstanding citizen, he can go in the filling ring of honor. He put up solid numbers there too.
Yeah, and I think also, Smitty, that's some of the reason that they have made it wait. They're like, hey, let's you ain't got any trouble since you've been out of prison. Let's make sure nothing else happens. And one thing I will say about Vick, I mean, you never know what anybody's doing behind closed doors, no matter how much you think you know him. But since he got out of prison, man, he has been a model citizen, somebody that can be a role model. He's been a ambassador for animal cruelty, and he has really turned his life around and just been the guy that you wanted him to be from the start. He's now works as an analyst on the network. So,
Right.
and another reason, Smith, I strongly think he's gonna get in because if you notice when he got out of prison, it was even though him and Arthur Blank were still talking behind the scenes, we know now since they both read some books and did some interviews.
Right. Right.
Vick said Blank was one of the first people to visit him when he got home, but to us, it seemed like there still was a little friction there in the relationship, and maybe because Vick was still playing in the league and we viewed him as a competitor. But over the years, if y'all have noticed, Mike Vick has slowly just become a Falcons ambassador. They had him in the hype video one year. He's announcing draft picks, just slowly. And now, because I remember there was a time they wouldn't even post him on their social media, but now every few days it's throwback Mike Vick video. So it's
and
like
I guarantee you he will be here during training camp like he was last year. He's
right, exactly.
So
exactly.
Hope I get to catch up with him this year. But I mean, man, we will see. Shout out to my boy Horace McLaren, the Third Sports Roundtable. Please go check him out on iHeartRadio, 1100 AM. He has me to do his Falcons report Wednesdays at 7:45 to 8 o'clock, and I give my thoughts on the latest Falcons news. So shout out to my boy H.O. the Third for showing me support. Let me put my talent on his platform, man. Shout out to him. Really appreciate it, Horace. But we got our boy Travis Preston in the chat. He waiting. Let's get to see what he can tell you about Mike Vick right quick. Travis, what's up, my dude?
What's up, my brother, man? It's been a minute since I've been on, man, but how y'all doing?
Good. How you doing, Travis?
Won't complain.
Y'all see I'm gray as a motherfucker around here.
Yeah, hey, we see that age.
I got that right, bro.
You know what? Michael Vick is an intriguing story, in my opinion. And the whole Ring of Honor thing, and we already know. We know what he did. We know what happened. It went down. I would say this: if he was still getting in trouble to this day and was still screwing up, then of course, no question, he would not be in the Ring of Honor. But when you see the turnaround he's done in his life, the impact he's still having on young men, mentoring. I mean, he just went and seen Justin Fields. I mean, he's one of the guys that's like, Vick. I grew up watching Vick. I mean, I've seen people in Atlanta Bird games say, hey, I became a Falcon fan because of Mike Vick. You cannot deny the cultural impact he had on the city and the team. The only reason I'm disappointed in Mike is because he had the league in the palm of his hand when he messed up.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, you can't sit here and act like you cannot tell the history of the Atlanta Falcons without mentioning Michael Vick. I mean, let's just be honest. How many known quarterbacks we had in our team? You had Matty Ice, Barkowski, and Vick. I mean, you can say far, but I'm talking about Atlanta Falcon Brett Favre, not Green Bay Brett Favre.
Right. And other than Falcons fans, don't nobody know Favre play here.
Exactly. Nobody. Everybody probably think Brett was drafted by Green Bay. So it is Michael Vick, he done his time. He knew he messed up. Everybody knew he messed up. But he's turned it around, man. I gotta give him props for doing it. Cause most guys is just speaking for a black man, it's hard to turn his life around because people are gonna look at you at a certain way. I'm not trying to turn this into a racial thing, but it's just the truth. People gonna always look at you no matter what in that one light. Yeah. But to see him put that to the side and still be able to turn his life around, I can't give a man nothing but respect, man. Put him in the Ring of Honor.
Yep. Well said. And I'm gonna tell y'all. Y'all might have saw this also, but not long. On Twitter, sometimes they'll put a logo up and they'll say, "Well, what's the first thing come to your mind when you see this logo?"
Oh yeah. Two names you're gonna hear: Deion Sanders and Michael Vick every time.
Right.
There you go.
Right. That's
Every
all I
time.
saw when I looked at that thread. I saw Vick had the most, Dion, and of course he had 23. But most people said Michael Vick, man. So that just shows, 20 years later, man, just like the impact that he had on this team. Even now when you see that number 7, I remember when Young Hoku got that number 7. I mean, there were Falcons fans that was legitimately upset. Or what are you doing with Vick number? He need to take Mike Vick number off. What are you doing
take
with
it
Vic?
off.
Right, because that's how a lot of people hold Vic. Well, and he ended up being a great kicker for us, and people finally got off that. And now Bijan said he even got Vic's blessings to wear his number. So
Right.
that if you didn't know any better, you thought Vic played here 10 plus years, man. That's just how much impact he has on this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And the Atlanta Falcons did not retire numbers. I say this all the time. They did not retire numbers.
Right.
They just had a respect for certain players. Just so you cannot wear that number because nobody has worn number 58. For Jesse Tucker. I'm surprised they still give out 21.
Or number 10. They don't give out Bart's number.
They don't give out Bart either, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are a couple of players numbers you cannot touch. I don't care who you are.
Right. And
You
like
have
you say,
to get,
even though it ain't officially retired,
Right.
they just won't let you wear it.
Right.
So it's really retired, but it just not retired in the stands. So that's a smart way of doing things to keep the confusion down.
Yep, I agree.
Shane Elliott said there was one reason the Falcons had Patrick Kearney and John Abraham, and they was the leading team with most sacks. Shane, they actually did not get to play together. The year that Abraham got here, Patrick Kearney was hurt. So he missed that whole season. They never got to play together. That would have been a hell of a duo. But we got my boy John Higgins in the chat as well. John, what's up, man? Thank you for always supporting the Sports Machine. Tell us what you think, man.
Oh, hey, y'all, what happened? Titus, bro, Preston, Smooth, Smitty, what's going on?
John, how you doing today, brother?
We hanging, man. Titus, you spell your name with a T-Y or T-I?
T.I.
T-I, okay. My bad if I spelled it wrong in the chat there. I put a Y in there. My bad.
Ain't no problem, man. I done seen it and heard it all when it come to that name.
Right. Hey, on the topic we got going on, Preston, I see where you coming from on the afterlife of Vic, leaving here the way he left. But my standpoint from here being here, I just can't root for him no more. He stuck me. He just, to me, he stuck me. You didn't apply yourself. Your head coach asked you in a later on interview after all this was over with, what'd you do with the DVDs that I sent you on the play? You just blatantly say you throw them in the back of your Mercedes-Benz truck and drove out. I can't deal with that, Doc. Mm-hmm. We trying to win championships here. I mean, I get it. I'm glad. I'm real glad to see the brother turn his life around after he went through that. I'm very, very proud of that. But from the football point here with me, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't do it. He stuck me, man. We gave you $137 to throw your CDs for the plays in the back of your Mercedes-Benz. No, I can't do that, dog.
And see what his problem was the most, I think, he tried to rely on his natural talent more than anything.
Exactly.
Because his natural talent is what got him there. So he feel like if he got him that far, I guess he can take him to the next level. But the NFL is constructed as a team sport. If you're not, gelling with your team, you're not gonna win. It's just that simple. So I think go ahead.
And Titus, this goes back to what you made too about Dan Reed. We'd have kept him. That would have never happened.
Yeah,
that would have never happened because you had an old school coach who gonna sit in film room with you and go over offensive stuff, not send you a DVD at 22 years old with $137 million.
Yeah. And Dan Reeves used to stay on him too. Vic still say that today. Like Reeves, like, man, Reeves used to be on my back all the time. Like, what are you doing? Who you hanging with? And you know that the Jim Morris Jr. He was his friend, and Reeves was his coach.
Found out
that worked so well in Philly. Cause Andy Reid was from that old school era.
Right.
And then also Vic was trying to rebuild himself too after that. So yeah, that worked out perfect for him. He went to the right person and right team after that.
Yep.
Went to that. But I can't get with him now. Your other question about what the breakfast man eating breakfast did your video with you, Smitty? Abraham. I think that's all. Hey man, I'm looking at the basketball game too, so I'm kind of tuning in that with y'all.
John Abraham. I
Yeah,
think he should have got in years ago, man.
I agree.
Years
100%.
ago.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Because
I agree.
what other pass rusher have we had since he left? Vick Beasley had 1 year.
That
1 year.
And I ain't gonna even count that year. Nigga, no.
You hard on him, John.
I am.
Come on, man.
I mean, hey man, hey. I if you come here to play, that's what I expect you to do. Come here and do what you're supposed to do. Do what you were drafted to do. Come here and get the job done. Especially when you draft high. Come here and do what you're supposed to do.
Agreed.
I can respect that.
Trevor, what you think, man, about John Abraham?
I'm a big fan of John Abraham, and I to this day I don't think he get enough credit that he deserves. I mean, he was in a hell of an era when you think about pass rushers. You think about him, Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis, Terrell Suggs. I mean, that era right there was beastly as far as pass rushers. And I still don't think he get enough credit. When you said, Smitty, that he went to Arizona and still got double digit set. Now you think about it, this man got double digit set with 3 different teams.
Yep.
So you can't sit here and say, oh, it was the scheme in Atlanta, it was the scheme in Arizona. No, he did top notch wherever he went.
Naturally talented.
Yeah.
And the crazy part, I did not know it until he said it himself. He did not miss but 5 games his whole time here.
Look at that.
I didn't know that either. I ain't never think about that.
And Smitty, one of them was your head coach. Played him in a game that was non-existent. He twisted ankle, couldn't play in the playoff game.
Right. That last game of the season, absolutely correct.
We had a few guys go out that game, didn't we? Or get banged up, if I remember correctly.
Something like that, yeah.
John Abraham, I think Witherspoon too.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah,
Witherspoon. Let's got one more to the chat, man. My boy Winston Thornton. Let me see, can I pull him in right quick? He having technical difficulties, it look like. You can see he can jump back in a second. But the Falconator, my boy Vinny Dorsey, man. Vinny Dorsey says, I think it will happen with time. They have included him in recent events such as season ticket kickoff at the Atlanta Station. Same is true for John Abraham. Falcons giving him opportunity to call that 2nd round pick, like Titus said. Feature Falcons legend at our first look practice. They will be there, both of them. So Vinny keeping it positive, man. He said both of them will be there, and I definitely agree. Over time, I think they will get there. So, but Michael Vick going into the Ring of Honor, to me, I think is a must at this point because, like we all said, cultural impact in a predominantly black city. To see a guy put a franchise on his back and to be able to market him as one of the top players over players like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and players and quarterbacks of that nature. Because let's be real, he was making more money than both of those guys. Had he stayed out of trouble, he probably been the first $200 million guy. So
you're right.
That's just something to think about. And influence. We don't talk about influence. His influence, and we talk about guys like Titus said, Randy Cunningham, and guys of that nature. But look at the guys that have came out to Vick who have said that they play with Mike Vick in video games and inspired to be like him. Guys like Lamar Jackson, who's ran for 1,000 yards 2 seasons as a quarterback. You have Patrick Mahomes, who even said, that's why he became a scrambling quarterback, even though he got a rocket arm. So, I mean, he just influenced a whole generation. And as I look at it, the person that, and the crazy part, the person that inspired him is probably one of the most cultural icons in NBA history, in Allen Iverson. So it fits hand in hand. So when you look at that perspective of Michael Vick, Allen Iverson, he modeled his game after Allen Iverson. It's just To me, I think it just always hand in hand, and I think it happened at the right time. But let's get
Agreed.
Winston. Let's get Winston in here before we get out of here. Winston, what's up, man?
Yo, what's going on, fella?
What's happening, bro?
What's up, bro?
Bro Winston, what's happening?
Ain't much to it. How y'all feeling?
All
Doing
right,
great,
man.
man.
Good, good.
I know you got something wild to say, man, about Michael Vick, because what you think? Ring on
Hey,
or no?
man.
Yes or no?
I mean, me being a Virginia boy from, from Jump Street, I always rooted for Vic, but Vic should definitely be in the ring on.
Okay.
Like people fail to forget where we was headed to with Vic there. We was on the precipice. Like that year that he got caught up with the dog fighting, they had us as a wild card contender for a ring.
Yeah.
Vic was doing numbers. People forget all about it because they think about when he got locked up and then coach left and all that. Like Vic was doing numbers and he was developing. He wasn't developing at the rate everybody wanted to, but he was developing. You could see that he was progressing. He was putting in a little bit of work. Maybe he should have put in a little bit more work as a passer, but you got to think about it. As an Atlanta Falcon, Michael Vick became the first quarterback to rush for over 1,000 yards. That was as a Falcon. You cannot mention the Atlanta Falcon and not mention Michael Vick. Love it, hate it, indifferent. You cannot. They're synonymous. They go together, and they always will.
Yeah.
When you have a player that then etch yourself in a legacy like that, you put him up on the ring. You put him on the ring of honor because eventually, God forbid, hope it never be no time soon. But when that man passed on, his legacy will still be here.
Yeah.
You put him in
That's
the ring
agreed.
of honor.
Man, Lisa made up interesting point. She said she attributed Vic Beasley's success to the tutelage of Dwight Freeney. The fact that he could not replicate that season says a lot. That's a great point. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
and we talking about Michael Vick. Who do you think? Why do you think Atlanta Falcon fans and me one of them? That's why I wanted, and I know John didn't want him, but Lamar Jackson. The Falcons wanted that feeling again. They wanted that ticket sales. They wanted an electric type player, but they did not go out there. But I understood why, Lamar Jackson name was tied to Atlanta. Mainly because, like I said, predominantly black city, predominantly black fan base. Why not have an African American quarterback to fill the stands? It only makes sense.
And he run like he running from the police.
Don't do that, Joe.
Yeah. Y'all know what I used to
Nigga
call
said
Michael
Lamar.
Vick. Y'all know what I used to call Michael Vick. I used to call Michael Vick crazy legs. Cause
Yeah.
every time he turned the corner, you knew he was finna run. And when he
Yeah.
ran, he was gliding through the defense like a deer in headlights, trying to cross the field and go to the other side of the field. That's how swift he was. So,
Mhm.
Yeah,
but before we get out of here, man, Tidy, tell everybody where to find you, man.
You can find me at Atlanta Bird Game here on YouTube. Also, you get on Facebook, check us out in our Atlanta Bird Game Facebook group. Also on Instagram, Atlanta Bird Game. Ain't really posted there in a month, but I'm gonna crank it back up. Appreciate everybody's support. Thank you for having me here tonight, Smitty.
No doubt, man. You always welcome, man. Shout out to my boy Winston, man. Always support me, man. I have Smitty Sports Machine group on Facebook, about almost 400 followers. But if y'all want to go to that group, drop some knowledge or a post, free to do so. Winston always does it. My boy John Higgins, man, has been supporting me for a while, man. He gives me a hard time, but I'm not gonna get mad about it because actually, that's what motivates me. Shout out to
It's
my boy
all
Travis.
it's
My boy
all
Travis.
love.
Oh, all love, man. Travis, thank you, man. You've been supporting me for a while as well. Hate it took so long to catch back up with you, but I hope you can tune in a little bit more. And that's for everybody on the panel, man. This season,
Yes, sir. No doubt.
hey, we're gonna try to take it to another level on Sundays, man. Y'all know we do the post game shows. During the week, I drop videos and we do our weekly show. which will probably be our preview show now. So I mean, we got a lot in store, man, and I'm gonna try to get out more in public so y'all can see my face. And I'm telling you, when I'm in Fayetteville, man, every day I go out, everybody knows who I am. So thank y'all for supporting me and helping me spread my knowledge through the world of sports. But as I always say, man, everybody that supports me, man, description section of this video, please go check out other Falcons content creators and please subscribe because they work just as hard as I do, man, putting out videos, spread knowledge, things of that nature. Because I'm telling y'all, it's not easy. It's not easy.
Definitely not.
That's not.
Yeah, I agree. Smitty, Tidy, Big Country, Uncle Steve, One Time for the Fan, all you guys, man. Appreciate y'all, man. I follow all you, man. Keep doing y'all work, man.
Thank you.
No
Appreciate
doubt,
it.
Travis.
Georgia
No
faithful.
doubt. But for my boy Tidy Jones, my special guest tonight, standing in for my boy Alberto, 95 North Falcons Talk
Oh,
Show.
can't forget Birdo, man. Birdo, shout out, bro.
Hey,
What's that,
Berto's
Alberto?
some, Berto's some Eastern
95.
Pump.
Hey, y'all
Berto's
call him old pumpkin pie.
Yeah, that's what y'all doing now. But for my boy Tidy, my boy John, Travis, Winston, we're gonna holler at y'all soon, man. We don't know when the pop-up show coming, but trust me, we're gonna try to get one out soon. It's your boy Antoine Smith signing off. Holler at y'all later, man. Peace.
Peace.
All right, fellas, please be cool.
All right, y'all be cool, fellas.
All right,